Hi, Erica McLean here. If it's your first time on my channel, welcome. If not, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about four more properties that were sold to these We Buy Homes for Cash as is and see how much money those sellers potentially may have left on the table. We all have seen the advertisements. We all get stuff in the mail from these companies. They make it so easy. They claim they give you a fair offer. But in my opinion, knowing the prices and being in the business, I don't know who that offer is really fair for most of the time. So let's jump into it and take a look at the first one because these are four properties that just closed this past week. You can see on this first property, the previous owner, this is all public record, but I still like to black out anybody's personal information. They sold it to one of these We Buy Houses for Cash as is. They sold it to them for $80,000, and that was in September of this year. You can see they're advertising it as an updated ranch, new flooring, carpet, and freshly painted throughout, and an updated bath. Let's take a look at what these updates actually look like. So you can see they put in new flooring and maybe purchase some new stainless steel appliances, original cabinets, and countertop. It looks here like they did update the bathroom, but bare minimum. Paint, a new vanity sink, and mirror. Possibly maybe the toilet was new. Here you can see, again, they painted, put in what looks to be more wood laminate flooring, but it doesn't look like any major updates. But keep in mind, they do tell you you can leave whatever you want there. So maybe this house was packed floor to ceiling with junk that they had to get rid of. Well, in just 2 months' time from them purchasing it from the owner, they did paint, remove whatever junk, I guess, was left in the house, put in some wood laminate flooring, it looks like, and buy some new appliances for the kitchen. And remember, they bought it in September for $80,000. They listed it at $179,900, so I guess they thought maybe they were going to make a little bit more than they did, but it sold for $160,000 in 2 months. So they sold it for double what the seller got for it. Now, this is just my opinion. Maybe I'm missing some details on the property, but I don't think so. Had this seller spoken to a couple of realtors, I believe they could have got more than 80,000 for it without painting, without putting in appliances or putting in wood laminate flooring. If they didn't want to clear out what was in the house, I'm sure they could have hired a company just to remove everything from the house, and they would have sold for significantly more than $80,000. I don't know how much more, but I guarantee you it would have been more than enough to cover the real estate commission, and they could have still sold it as is, even if the buyer did a home inspection and asked for repairs. They have the right to say no to that. So, what are you as a seller? What is it costing you for the convenience of doing this? Let's take a look at the next one. Now, the seller on this property sold again as is to one of these companies in June of this year for $205,000. Now, based on the description for this one, they must have done some work to it. They say that the house is move-in ready, and features include an open living room, kitchen, family room on the main level, new drain tile system, and they're pushing the location. So let's take a look at what updates they actually did. It looks like this bathroom didn't have anything done to it. Now it looks like this bathroom, they did redo the whole thing. I'm assuming that the first bathroom that nothing was done to was probably located in the basement. Looks like they also spent some money on the kitchen in this one. Looks like still original cabinets that they may be painted, but new appliances, new countertop and sink, and backsplash tile. Now it looks like they didn't probably make as much profit as they thought, because they purchased it in June for 205 and they went under contract in November for 250. So by the time they did the work, paid for the countertop and appliances and stuff, I'm sure they still made a profit, but maybe not as much as they were hoping for. Now, with this property, they did sell it for $45,000 more with very minimal updates to the house. Now, could this seller have spoken to a realtor and listed it as is without any updates and only just have to worry about getting the contents out of the property and sold it for more than they did to this cash investor? I believe they could have. But again, if the convenience is worth the money to you, then it makes sense to sell to one of these companies. Now let's take a look at the next property. Now this property was sold again to one of these we buy as is for cash in August of 2024 for a price of $282,000. Now it looks like on this property, according to their description, they did a lot of work, that it's completely updated the kitchen with new beautiful quartz countertops, new popular LVT flooring, carpet, and freshly painted throughout. It's got a master suite with a full master bath, finished basement, huge with additional full bath. So sounds like they did quite a bit of work. So let's see what they did. I don't know if this is the master bath that they were talking about, but it looks like if anything was done, they hung a new mirror and maybe put in a new countertop. Doesn't look like a whole lot of work or expense, in my opinion. Well, taking a look at the kitchen, it looks like all they did was put a new countertop and probably sink, just because with this quartz countertop you need an undermounted sink. So I would say sink, faucet, and countertop. Very minimal expense. And here must be the finished basement they're talking about. Paint, carpet. Maybe they had to fix some drywall or something. But again, very minimal cosmetic stuff. And I'm assuming this is one of the bedrooms. They put new carpet and they painted. Again, very minimal work. Now remember, the original seller sold to this cash company for $282,000. Now we did see that there were some updates done, very minimal, not very costly, and they turned around and sold it for $424,900. That's a difference of $142,900. They bought it in August. They did some work. It went under contract in November for a difference of over $140,000. I guarantee you, had this seller called a realtor, gotten a price for it as is without the updates, it might not have sold for $424,000, but it would have been probably in the high 300s, I would say 350 to 400, in my opinion, without those updates being done. Again, I think the seller having to remove and empty everything out of the house, even paying a real estate commission, could have got significantly more money being listed. And what these companies call fair value, I don't think it's fair to the seller. But let's take a look at the other one that closed this week. Now, this property was sold in September for $158,000 to one of these as is, we buy for cash companies, giving you a fair value and everything is so great. Well, according to the description on this one, it's a perfect opportunity to bring in all your own ideas and make this home your own. So I believe that nothing was done other than empty the house out, maybe pull up some old outdated carpeting, and then they just slapped it back on the market. As you can see in this picture, maybe they did slap a coat of paint, but as I take a closer look, I don't think so. You could see that the property had hardwood floors that were probably covered with some old carpeting, but they didn't even refinish them. All they did was expose them. You can see here in the bathroom, it doesn't look like they touched a thing. Now here's the kitchen. Again, looks like all they did was remove from the cellar what belongings they left behind and tore up some carpet. I don't believe they touched anything in this kitchen. Now remember, the original seller sold it to this company so easily for a fair price of $158,000 in September. In December, without doing anything that we're aware of to the property other than maybe lifting up some carpeting and removing whatever debris and items were left behind. They sold it in December for $208,200. So that's $50,200 more than the fair market value they gave this seller. Now, again, to me, if it was that much more convenient for the seller to just sell it for that price, but again, I think they left money on the table. Even if they had to pay somebody to come and empty the house out and rip up the carpet, had it been listed with the realtor, advertised properly, supply and demand, more people would have known about it. And I guarantee you, they could have sold it for the same price that it just sold for and walked away with more money. That's my opinion. Maybe they could have even sold it higher. Timing the market is everything. Now, don't get me wrong. These companies, we buy ugly houses for cash, these investors, that's their business. It's not a charity business. They're in business to make money. Everybody needs to make money. So I'm not saying that, what they're doing is necessarily wrong, but I think a lot of sellers don't realize that if they only talk to them, that they could potentially be losing money. I just want to make sure that sellers out there are educated. As a realtor for over 27 years, it's always been my job to make sure when I'm working with the seller that they net the highest amount possible, because that's my job. So if you are a seller out there, if the convenience of just not having to do anything is what works for you, that's fine. And these investors, companies, whatever, like I said, they're in the business to make money. I'm in the business to make money. But before you agree to sell to one of these we buy for cash places, just do yourself a favor and talk to a couple realtors. Get their opinion and then make a decision. Because why would you want to just lose money, especially if it's a significant amount? So that's all for today. I thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell so you'll be notified of future videos. And I hope to see you back for another video. But otherwise, bye for now.